Dr. Majani Baba, Awolowo Jolalaka. Ọ̀làǹlẹ́yìn tiwa, Awolowo Jolalaka. Akíntọ́lá o tiwa ni, Awolowo Jolalaka. Bọ̀déjẹ́ fún ti tiwa, Awolowo Jolalaka.
Jeremiah Oyeniyi Obafemi Awolowo was born on March 6, 1909, to Chief David Shokpolu Awolowo and his wife, Mary Efunyela Awolowo, Nikena Remo in what is now Ogun State of Nigeria. A Nigerian nationalist, a political writer, and statesman. His first name, Obafemi, means the king loves me, and the surname, Awolowo, the source of his nickname, Awo, means the mystic, commands honor or respect. A Yoruba and native of Ikenne in Ogun State of Nigeria. He started his career like some of his notable contemporaries as a nationalist in the Nigerian youth movement, of which he became Western Provincial Secretary and was responsible for much of the progressive social legislation that has made Nigeria a modern nation. He was an active journalist and trade unionist as a young man, editing the Nigerian Worker amongst other publications, while also organizing the Nigerian Produce Traders Association and serving as secretary of the Nigerian Motor Transport Union. After earning a Bachelor of Commerce degree in Nigeria from a London university through correspondence, he went to the UK where he earned a law degree as an external student. While there, he founded the Egbe Omo Oduduwa, a pan-Yoruba cultural society, which set the stage for the formation of the Action Group, a liberal nationalist political party. As leader of the group, he represented the Western region in all the constitutional conferences intended to advance Nigeria on the path of independence. He was the first leader of government business and minister of local government and finance, and the first premier of the Western region under Nigeria's parliamentary system from 1952 to 1959, and was the official leader of the opposition in the federal parliament to the Balewa government from 1959 to 1963. In addition to all these, Awolowo was the first individual in the modern era to be named the leader of the Yorubas. A position which has come over time to be conveniently ascribed to his successors as the official political leader of the Yoruba peoples of Nigeria. In his early life, his father was a farmer and a sawyer who died when Obafemi was about 7 years old. He attended various schools and then became a teacher in Abeokuta, after which he qualified as a shorthand typist. Subsequently, he served as a clerk at the famous Wesley College, as well as a correspondent for the Nigerian Times. It was after this that he embarked on various business ventures to help raise funds to travel to the UK for further studies. In 1949, Awolowo founded the Nigerian Tribune, the oldest surviving private Nigerian newspaper, which he used to spread nationalist consciousness among his fellow Nigerians. Awolowo was Nigeria's foremost federalist in his path to Nigerian freedom, the first systematic Federalist manifesto by a Nigerian politician. He advocated federalism as the only basis for equitable national integration, and as the head of the Action Group, he led demands for a federal constitution, which was introduced in the 1954 Littleton Constitution, following primarily the model proposed by the Western Region delegation led by him. As premier, he proved to be and was viewed as a man of vision and a dynamic administrator. Awolowo was also the country's leading social democrat politician. He supported limited public ownership and limited central planning in government. He believed that the state should channel Nigeria's resources into education and state-led infrastructural development. Controversially and at a considerable expense, he introduced free primary education for all and free health for children in the Western region, established the first television service in Africa in 1959, and the Oduduwa Group, all of which were financed from the highly lucrative cocoa industry, which was the mainstay of the regional economy.
The opening of the Western Nigeria television service was a great occasion, not only because it was the first of its kind in the whole of Africa, but also because of the prodigious efforts which had gone into making it possible in so short a space of time, only 3 months. It was a proud moment for Mr. Ikoli and the other directors of Western Nigeria Radio Vision when they arrived at Western Hall with many other distinguished people. The ceremony itself was televised, reaching viewers in Ibadan, Lagos, Abeokuta, and many other places within range of the Mapo and Abafon transmitters. Among the guests on this occasion was His Excellency the Governor of Western Nigeria, Sir John Rankin. Television will bring many benefits to the region. Entertainment will come to outlying areas, and there will be regular schools programs. Sir John was introduced to members of the Radio Vision service, and without doubt he congratulated them on achieving so much so soon. For Chief Anthony Anaharo, who was accompanied by his wife, it was a particularly important occasion, for he includes in his portfolio responsibility for the information service. His Excellency the Governor-General and Lady Robertson also attended this ceremony, which was so full of significance, not only for Nigeria, but for Africa as a whole. Came the Premier, Chief Obafemi Awolowo. His wife was with him. The region which he leads had pioneered public television. It was a moment of pride and congratulations as he met the distinguished guests and the people who will direct the service which can do so much to spread news, education and amusement throughout the territory and beyond. Chief Anaharo opened the proceedings.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the government of Western Nigeria, I welcome all of you to the official opening of the television service in this region. Today is a great day in the history of this region, and I think also in the history of the development of television and broadcasting services on this continent. And I'd like to thank you all very much for coming here this evening to join us in this official opening. I call on His Excellency the Governor-General, Sir James Robertson, to say the opening remarks.
Your Excellency, Honourable Premier, Honourable Ministers, Chairman and members of the Television Corporation, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great pleasure to me to be present here this evening at the inaugural ceremony of the Western Region's television service. And I very much appreciate the invitation which the Chairman and Board of Directors of the Western Region of Nigeria's Radio Vision Service have sent me. And I should like to congratulate both the government of the Western Region and the Overseas Rediffusion Company on the enterprise and determination which they have shown in preparing for this ceremony and for the opening of the television service in such record time.
Chief Awolowo spoke next.
Your Excellencies, Your Highnesses, ladies and gentlemen, a few events in my life have given me so much pleasure as to come before you tonight to open formally the first television network in Africa. Western Nigeria television is already being emulated by other parts of this country as well as a number of other African states. I know that you will all gain much from this great medium of mass information and instruction. It is a powerful influence for good. And I am confident that in due course, it will assist in making our great country even greater. Very soon, we and our partners will introduce commercial radio to Nigeria. And we have made careful plans that this medium too will be used for your benefit. With these few remarks, I have great pleasure in formally launching Western Nigeria television first in Africa. I ask you all to rejoice with my colleagues and me on this memorable occasion and to grasp with both hands the full advantages which this modern miracle offers.
After the ceremonies in Western Hall, the guests went to Television House in Agodi, where a commemorative plaque was to be unveiled. The visitors' book received its first signatures. A £250,000 building had been erected in less than 4 months. A tribute, said the station manager, to the enthusiasm of the 300 Nigerians engaged in the work. Chief Awolowo made a short speech before unveiling the plaque, which in years to come will be a reminder of a historic occasion. A great new service had been inaugurated, an achievement summed up in the station's proud call sign, WNTV, first in Africa.
From the eve of independence, he led the action group as the leader of the opposition in the federal parliament, leaving Samuel Ladoke Akintola as the Western Region Premier. Serious disagreements between Awolowo and Akintola on how to run the Western Region led the latter to an alliance with the Tafawa Balewa-led NPC federal government. A constitutional crisis led to the declaration of a state emergency in the Western Region, eventually resulting in a widespread breakdown of law and order. Excluded from the national government, Awolowo and his party faced an increasingly precarious position. Akintola's followers, angered at their exclusion from power, formed the Nigerian National Democratic Party, NNDP, under Akintola's leadership, having previously suspended the elected Western Regional Assembly. The federal government then reconstituted the body after maneuvers that brought Akintola's NNDP into power without an election. Shortly afterwards, Awolowo and several disciples were arrested, charged, convicted and jailed for conspiring with the Ghanaian authorities under Kwame Nkrumah to overthrow the federal government. The remnants of the action group fought the national election of 1965 in alliance with the largely Igbo and southeastern NCNC. Amid accusations of fraud from the NCNC and AG camp, the NPC-NNDP won the election. The AG supporters reacted with violent riots in some parts of the Western region. Awolowo was later freed by the military administration of General Yakubu Gowon, who subsequently appointed him Federal Commissioner for Finance and Vice President of the Federal Executive Council. This took place in the unsettled circumstances immediately preceding the civil war.
The welfare of millions of people for generations to come may be affected by the wisdom which we here display. If Nigerian leaders and our British partners are to prove themselves worthy of their trust, now is the time for us solemnly and truly to dedicate ourselves to seeking the greatest good of the greatest number of our people in Nigeria. It is to this end that my colleagues and I pledge ourselves. The first main task of the conference is to resolve those problems which defied solutions in 1957 and to evolve for Nigeria a constitution of which both the British and the Nigerian peoples can be proud. The second is to get Her Majesty's government to agree to April 2nd, 1960 as the target date for Nigeria's independence. Independence for Nigeria in 1960 is imperative. But independence for Nigeria as a corporate entity is not enough. The peoples of Nigeria must at the same time be guaranteed their freedom. We must ensure that in an independent Nigeria, individual citizens throughout the land enjoy liberty, human dignity, and equality under the law. There must be one Nigeria with one constitution and one law for all. Let us therefore, Mr. Chairman, sir, close our ears to the counsel of despair, which says that we cannot here at this conference agree on a constitution. If there's any doubt among us as to what should be written into the constitution, let us, as democrats that we profess ourselves to be, refer such problems, as the Gaulle has done recently, to the people whom we profess.
People in History will return after this short break. Welcome back to People in History. Awolowo pioneered free primary education in Nigeria in the Western region and also free healthcare. Although Awolowo failed to win the 1979 and 1983 presidential elections of the Second Republic, he polled the second highest number of votes, and his policies of free education and limited free healthcare were carried out throughout all the states controlled by his party, the Unity Party of Nigeria. Awolowo is best remembered for his remarkable integrity, ardent nationalism, principled and virile opposition, and dogged federalistic convictions. His party was the first to move the motion for Nigeria's independence in the federal parliament, and he obtained internal self-government for the Western region in 1957. He is credited with coining the name Naira for the Nigerian Standard Monetary Unit and helped to finance the Civil War and preserve the Federation without borrowing. He built the Liberty Stadium in Ibadan, the first of its kind in Africa, established the WNTV, the first television station in Africa, erected the first skyscraper in tropical Africa, the Cocoa House, still the tallest in Ibadan, and ran a widely respected civil service in the Western region. Awolowo was reputedly admired by Ghana's Kwame Nkrumah, and some of his disciples in the Southwest have continued to invoke his name and the policies of his party, the Action Group, during campaigns, while his welfarist policies have influenced politicians in most of the other geopolitical zones of the nation. He was a senior advocate of Nigeria and Chancellor of the University of Ife and Ahmadu Bello University. He held many chieftaincy titles, including the Losi of Ikene, Lisa of Ijeun, Asiwaju of Remo, Odofin of Owo, Ajagunla of Ado Ekiti, Akpesin of Oshogbo, Odole of Ife, and Obongi Baisong of Ibibio land, and was also conferred with the highest national honor of Grand Commander of the Federal Republic. Many institutions in Nigeria have honored him, and some regional and national institutions are named after him, including Obafemi Awolowo University in Ile-Ife, Osun State, formerly University of Ife, Obafemi Awolowo Stadium, formerly the Liberty Stadium, and the Obafemi Awolowo Institute of Government and Public Policy in Lekki, Lagos State. His portrait is on the 100 Naira note. He was also the author of several publications on the political structure and future of prospects of Nigeria, the most prominent of which are Path to Nigerian Freedom, Thoughts on the Nigerian Constitution, and Strategies and Tactics of the People's Republic of Nigeria. However, his most important bequests are his exemplary integrity, his welfarism, his contributions to hastening the process of decolonization, and his consistent and reasoned advocacy of federalism based on ethno-linguistic self-determination and uniting politically strong states as the best.
Here lies much of the mysticism about Awolowo. He was a diverse African, as you would find in any African legend, and yet with an ethnically prejudiced bent. And at least, like Azikiwe and Tafawa Balewa, there was no ounce of inferiority complex in his bone.
Big and successful meeting.
The native authority police were far too few, and they did nothing to remove the organized young hoodlums stirring up passions at the edge of the crowd till it was too late. For a time, it looked ugly. Quietly dispersed, perhaps remembering the previous riot. This time, nobody killed, only a few injured. Awolowo is a man of steady nerves. He was ill when he appeared at the rally, but he had to appear, otherwise he would have been called a coward by his enemies. By morning, he felt better.
There was a considerable riot when you spoke here yesterday. Was this an organized thing put on by the opposition?
My own view is that it had been organized by some people.
You don't think it could have been just...
That was not, it wasn't spontaneous. In a town like Kano, you have a lot of loafers who can easily be made to do any dirty work by giving them a few shillings or something.
Does this mean the campaign as a whole is going to get more violent as it goes on?
I don't think so. My experience is that you have loafers mainly in the cities. They don't exist in the villages. And so far, my campaigns in the villages have been very successful, even though there are no police protection at all. You attended one, anyway.
Awolowo's penchant for probity and uprightness contributed in no small measure to the many myths and mystics about him. Rumors had his alleged conflict of interest with the Western Nigerians' land allocations and business abound. But they remain what they are, rumors and legends. Chief Obafemi Awolowo was so controversial that he drew fervent results from foes and friends alike.
Politicians and press are already electioneering hard. Some observers say that the main parties in the three coastal regions will gang up against the north. This could put a big strain on Nigerian unity. Supporters of the Nigerian press say its vitality and vituperation are the great safeguards of democracy. Critics allege that it forgets the cause of building a united Nigeria in its eagerness to slam rival personalities, parties, regions and tribes. The Zik who's so angry, incidentally, is Dr. Ezekwe, who is now, as ceremonial president, supposed to be above party. He's been provoked beyond endurance. Behind this lies ill feeling between northerners and the Igbo tribe of the eastern region. How serious is this press war?
Well, this is not a very serious matter. This is a matter that happens in every country. You get odd controversies taking place here and there. I think all the leaders are at one to see that the unity of the country is maintained. And therefore, naturally, you get the tail of every party trying to drag the party one way or another. But I think once we leaders come together, I'm sure everything will be resolved peacefully.
Awolowo, the leader of the Action Group and, of course, the chief political rival of Nnamdi Azikiwe, had an altogether different quality about him. There was never a time had there been a breath of scandal about this great man.
We, the members of the Western Nigeria House of Assembly, in Parliament assembled, express our thanks to the British Parliament for the formal presentation of a mace and the gift of a specially bound and autographed copy of Erskine May to this House through the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, and we welcome this gesture as a token of the friendship and goodwill of the House of Commons towards this House and all the people of Western Nigeria. It is particularly fitting, and it may be regarded as propitious, that the mace, this symbol of our collective authority, should be brought into use at this great moment in Nigerian history when we have just become self-governing in the regional field. But important as the mace is, we must not let its presence here for the first time completely suppress the value of the gift which we have just received. For if the mace proclaims your officer, it is Erskine May which, among other things, applies the brakes, lest Mr. Speaker himself be tempted to exercise more than his due authority. To this extent, Erskine May is to us here on the floor what the mace is to Mr. Speaker in the chair. It is therefore a singularly apt companion gift on this occasion.
Since the time Chief Obafemi Awolowo rose to the position of Vice Head of Government and the Minister of Finance during the regime of General Yakubu Gowon, he was also the chairman of the Unity Party of Nigeria. At the end of each of his tenure, in all the above-listed positions, his administration was probed, investigated, and reprobed by countless commissions of inquiries, military tribunals, and investigating journalists. Some of his lieutenants and associates all went to jail for one corruption or the other at the end of such probe, but the commission of inquiry or military tribunals usually came back with a clean bill of health for Chief Obafemi Awolowo. His policies and administrations were always regarded as above board. The Action Group, which had its principal strength in the Yoruba West, was at the time a new party than Nnamdi Azikiwe's. It grew out of a semi-religious group known as the Egbe Omo Oduduwa, which was founded by Awolowo himself, just to give voice to the Yoruba nationalists and tribal aspirations. In theory, it would also like to remain on friendly terms with the British, but many of its members were extremists, and Awolowo himself was seen as a prime mover for fixing the 1956 as a target date for independence.
It is to this end that my colleagues and I pledge ourselves The first main task of the conference is to resolve those problems which defied solutions in 1957 and to evolve for Nigeria a constitution of which both the British and the Nigerian peoples can be proud. The second is to get Her Majesty's government to agree to April 2nd, 1960 as the target date for Nigeria's independence. Independence for Nigeria in 1960 is imperative, but independence for Nigeria as a corporate entity is not enough. The peoples of Nigeria must at the same time be guaranteed their freedom. We must ensure that in an independent Nigeria, individual citizens throughout the land enjoy liberty, human dignity, and equality under the law. There must be one Nigeria with one constitution and one law for all. Let us therefore, Mr. Chairman, sir, close our ears to the counsel of despair, which says that we cannot here at this conference agree on a constitution. If there's any doubt among us as to what should be written into the constitution, let us, as Democrats that we profess ourselves to be, refer such problems, as the goal has done recently, to the people whom we profess to represent, either just before or at the federal elections late in 1959.
It was reportedly said that an action group member commenting on the troubles in Kenya at that time went so as far as to say that Mau Mau, in spite of his horrors, might still be the way out of Nigerians' bondage. Why did Awolowo stand out on an ethnic platform? The mystery will always remain with us. It was believed that Awolowo had a tidier mind and more planning capacity than Chief Nnamdi Azikiwe, but that's what people say. They also say that Awolowo seized the Nigerian nationalist movement away from Nnamdi Azikiwe by simply organizing his own party in the West. Now before this, Zik had a claim to be a leader everywhere else. Overnight, there were two parties, which is a healthy enough sign of democratic evolution, you would think, if they were not too rigidly regional. The action group was known to use scrupulous language in attacking Azikiwe's East. One of his newspapers had categorized the Eastern Assembly, calling them a mob politics. At one time, when they were quarreling so ferociously, Awolowo and Zik had to sue each other for libel for considerable sums. The two awards more or less cancelled each other out. Then, after the crisis of 1953, the two began to work together again, each keeping his own sphere of influence, with Awolowo stronger in the West and Zik in the East. But in 1954, both of them went back to quarreling and of course split venomously once again.
That's Maria. Your love is driving me crazy. I rather die than to miss my Maria. The way you kiss me is so touchy, it's romantic, cherry cuckoo. Your love is driving me crazy. I rather die than to miss
People would think that ethnic politics was only a recent development in Nigeria, but you would see it started way back. But with the likes of Awolowo and Zik, they were able to put their differences aside and work together for one common good. We need to acknowledge and perhaps acclaim the contributions many Nigerian nationalist politicians like Chief Obafemi. He was one of the people who actually stood in the struggle for independence in Nigeria, despite the ethnic differences. When you look back, the younger generation would only wish that Chief Awolowo and his co-nationalists like Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe and Sir Tafawa Balewa and the Sultan of Sokoto, Ahmadu Bello, had all come together and risen together. What makes Abraham Lincoln such a great legend in America today is due largely to his desire to fight for freedom, not only for those who came from Chicago or the North, but for all Americans. Some political analysts explained Awolowo's appeal to ethnicity to advance his own political agenda on the grounds that Awolowo never imagined that all the regions will be granted independence at the same time. Some claim that Awolowo never thought the North would be ever ready for independence. Some people question, didn't Awolowo change his mind once Nigeria gained independence? Why did he allow himself to be considered the leader of the Yoruba at the height of the Civil War? How can you run for a presidency of a nation when your own worldview is that of some of his own people are more superior to another within the same polity?
I've suffered in my life. I have suffered in my life. I love 3 women. One is my mother. The second is my sister. The third is my wife. My wife can go tomorrow. I stay alone in my house. A debtor, he not dey go to prison. Only thieves go to jail. Ha 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 ha. If you want to make a lover, you better make a Yoruba girl. When you are down, oh, when you are down with daddy, she will go to her father. I want to go a function. I want to buy a pretty gown. When they give her the bloody money, she will give her to her lover. If you want to keep a woman, you better keep an Osobo girl. You can be sacked out from your job. Osobo girl can keep you well and then cover your secret daddy. That's what the world they talk. Some people say, some people talk. Some people say we are all my boys. Some people say, some people talk. Some people say we are Ari men. Some people say they talk. Some people say they talk. Some people say we are Wogo men. They never knew. They never knew. They never knew we are coffee men. Oh, wherever I me, I can manage the Veriga. Oh, wherever I me.
Chief Obafemi Awolowo was born in a small Yoruba village in 1909. He was poorest of the poor, but entirely self-made. This is unusual in Nigeria at the time. You see, an intelligent young person, if destitute, will in a normal course of event be taken in by some family. But in the case of Awolowo, on his own, he managed to get a British education at a mission school in Ibadan and then made his way to London, where he studied law. He was a barrister of the Inner Temple. Returning to Nigeria, he became an advisor to the trade unions. He did not take a political strong line against the British until 1948. Awolowo was an extremely cultivated and intelligent man. He spoke, of course, perfect English. His book, The Path to Nigerian Freedom, was well received by intellectuals in London. He had a world sense of somewhat unusual among Africans because then few Africans had the opportunity to acquire it. And of course, he visited India and Egypt. Jawaharlal Nehru made quite a great impression on him, and of course, vice versa. In 1954, he became the premier of the Western region. It is interesting to learn that for the first time, Awolowo did not take a strong political line against the British until 1948. This explains his distaste for the NCNC politics, so they say. Did he form his own worldview after he got back from India and Egypt? Most people question what impact did his membership of the West African Student Union in Britain had while he was studying law? Most importantly, why did he start out in politics by establishing a quasi-ethnic outfit by the name Egba Omo Oduduwa? These are questions that the younger generation have asked themselves. If indeed Awolowo is as intellectual as widely claimed, why did he not have a more pan-Nigerian outlook when he started politics? Why the acerbic attack on Azikiwe and other Eastern Nigerian-born politicians in the West Assembly? The questions will continue to go on and on and on. Many people have written songs about the mystical aura of the great Chief Obafemi Awolowo. But one thing all Nigerians agree is that his monumental contribution to discipline, vision, and forthright administration is second to none.
Dr. Majani Baba, Awolowo Jonalaga. Ọlánlẹ́yìn tiwa, Awolowo Jonalaga. Akíntọ́lá o tiwa ni, Awolowo Jonalaga. Bọ̀déjẹ́ Kútì tiwa, Awolowo Jonalaga. Wọlé o tiwa, Awolowo Jonalaga. Akérèlé ńkọ́ o tiwa ni, Awolowo Jonalaga. Awolowo mi, ẹgbẹ́ Afẹ́nifẹ́re ti Nàìjíríà wa. Láti ẹ̀kẹ́sọ̀ wọ́pọ̀ kí àmà lè jẹ wá nílùú Nàìjíríà lọ́sẹ̀ ìdájọ́. Awolowo ẹni bójú jọba. Àwo. Ẹni bójú jọba. Àwo. Awolowo ẹni bójú jọba. Lálẹ́yìn ẹni bójú jọba. Òjé sọmọ sí ẹni bójú jọba. Ẹgbẹ́ Afẹ́nifẹ́re lè kó. Àjọ̀dúnbà ló jáde lọ. Awolowo mi kò tọ́jú ayọ̀ Akíntọ́yà bí ọmọ rẹ̀.
That was People in History's special edition on Chief Obafemi Awolowo.